Recording. Hello, guys. Happy Thursday. I'm so excited to see y'all. I'm so excited to, be able to be here again on Bible study and grow with you all. We've been having really good conversations the last couple months, as we've been in 2022, where we've really been trying to be super intentional about the growth within and the growth that involves us looking at ourselves in the image of a house. And we don't want to be a raggedy house. We don't want to be a bando. We don't want to be a rundown crib. We want to be a haven, a sanctuary for our families, and just a very strong, structured house. As we're moving forward inside the world, we know that we can't really control the world, but we can control ourselves. And so this is what these conversations are about, just to be able to not only get clarity with ourselves, but give ourselves different practical steps and spiritual outlines that we can follow and take as we're moving forward inside life and growing and expanding as individuals. And so I hope that y'all are gaining something from this. I hope that if you are gaining something from this, you're also taking notes in some type of way. So this isn't just something that we're hearing today and then forgetting tomorrow. The Bible says, like in James, that you don't merely be like listeners of the word, but you actually be doers. And so I want us to be able to take the things that we have been learning and experiencing and actually meditate on it and practice it inside our day-to-day lives. And so if you can take notes, if you need notes from previous Bible studies, just hit me. I have all the notes ready. And so I can send that to you privately, or I'll put it inside the group. You just ask me and I'll do that. But we've been kind of breaking down again a house every single month. I don't know, for the people who have been here, can anybody tell me what the last 4 months were before May? I know I give the rundown every single, I got you. I know I give the rundown every single week about the different things that we've been talking about over the year, but does anybody remember the things that we've talked about or anything that has stood out to you in these last couple of weeks that you can recite? Anybody that's been here, y'all remember what we were talking about, the different layers of the house that we already said?
We talked about the house, the foundation, and where the house is built and not being built on sand and being built on rock. We talked about the walls, and basically that's boundaries. And then now we're talking about windows. Feel
Bet.
like I skipped one.
Now you good. Yeah, we got let me see what Chris said. You got the foundation. Y'all got the foundation right. The structure. Yeah, the structure was the pillars. And so those pillars was in March, and talking about having positive pillars and not negative ones. The walls, like y'all both said. Now we on windows. We got one more. Do anybody remember the last one? It was in January. So we got foundation in February, we got structure in March, we got walls in April. We're on windows now. What was January?
January was the vision.
Wow. Yes, vision. So if we're looking at the house, thank y'all, Chris, and thank you, Terica. When we're looking at the house, you need the vision on what the house is going to look like. And so that's what we talked about in January, vision for your finances, your family, your relationships, et cetera, et cetera. February, like Terica said, we talked about the foundation being built on rock and not sand. And what does that look like inside our lives? The structures, having those positive pillars inside March. And then the walls, like y'all also said, about the boundaries and being able to live inside those boundaries. This month, we've been talking about windows. And when you look at windows, again, we look at it in a sense of the perspective, being able to see out of a window or see inside a window. And so that's what we kind of been diving into in these conversations, trying to figure out how do we look at ourselves, how we look at the world around us, how do we look at people, and how do we actually get to a space where we're not necessarily judging people or judging ourselves off of the things that we're seeing. And so that's what we're going to kind of dive into a little bit today. I have a Google form that I'm going to share with y'all in a little bit, but um, I think that this week is going to be an interesting week. I have a lot to unpack, so hopefully we're able to unpack it. Some stuff might carry over, but I think this one is one of the most important Bible studies, if not the most important one that we can have outside of course, the foundation of being built on Jesus, because of the fact that it's the thing that I feel like all of us have either struggled with or we know somebody else that struggles with it, and it affects our relationship status with those people, and it affects the way that we look at people and the way that we interact with people. And so what I wanted to talk about today is pretty much self-reflection. I think that when we're looking at life and when we're looking at just what it means to not only be a person in life, but a Christian in life, I think that a lot of times it's easy for us to see what's going on inside the world. It's easy for us to look outside of our window and say, man, on Nextdoor app, they doing this is this. They're crazy over here. They're crazy over here. They're doing this over here, man. They're not doing this over here. And it's easy for us to look outside the window, but a lot of times it's hard for us to allow that window to also be a reflection back to us, where we can look within and see the things that we need to do better inside our own lives, do better inside our relationships, do better inside our communities, do better in our faith life. And so that's something that I wanted to talk about today. I think that everybody can relate in a situation to something that's being said. And again, it's not something that's all dependent on a romantic relationship. A lot of these things can also apply to our platonic relationships. A lot of these things can apply even to our relationships with our family members. I know this is where I started brewing this conversation on. Side note, I'm dropping a form inside the chat. So whenever y'all get time, fill that out. I know the question might seem super scary, but it's going to play into what we're talking about later on. So whenever you get time to, please give it out. And I encourage everybody to say it. It's anonymous, so I'm not going to see who said what. So I would love for y'all to fill out that form. It's inside the chat. But a little backstory on how I even wanted to talk about the self-reflection aspect of it. I feel like as a individual myself, I try my hardest. I'm not saying that I always am, but I try my hardest to be as cognizant of other people as possible, because growing up, I had to be. I'm a older sibling. My mom was a single mom. So there was a lot of things that I had to take care of. I had to, listen to my mom and actually be respectful of my mom and hear her, take in her emotions. I had to be there for my siblings, and I had different dynamics of siblings. So I had to hear different perspectives. And so because of that, I also got the back end of that, of me interacting with them specific ways, and me interacting with them in specific ways and hearing what they did like, they didn't like. The same thing in my relationship. I think that there were different things and different experiences that I've had that has made me look inward a lot more than I used to. And it's got me to a place where now I'm trying my hardest to lead with self-reflection, instead of feeling like everything that I'm saying is right or everything that I'm doing is right, because I can be aware that I'm human and I'm not perfect. And so I'm flawed in a sense, and I'm encouraged to know that I can improve in a lot of ways. But I think that when it comes to us as individuals, a lot of times we either got the things that we wanted or we didn't get the things that we wanted. And so because we either got something or didn't get something, when we get to a space where we're actually getting something that we want, then it makes us less aware of how we either come off to each other. So for instance, let's say if you were in different relationships or different friendships and nobody heard you, and you felt like nobody was listening to you, you felt like nobody cared about you, and you felt like you was always, on the back burner of people's minds. When you get into a relationship with somebody that actually cares for you and feels that way, you can be appreciative of it, but it can get to a level of comfortability where it starts getting to a place where now you feel like, oh, this person cares about me, or this person is there for me. So now, because I know that this person cares about me or is there for me, let me just give them everything, because I know that I don't have any other outlet to do that. And so I'm a dump on this person. Or you can be, you said that's you, or you can be a person where you've always been the person that had friends. You've always been the person where your family, like, poured into you, and you were able to get these level of interactions often. And so because you got these levels of interaction often, you set an expectation or a standard in your life where if it doesn't look like how you experienced it before, then you don't like it, because of the fact that you have a standard set from the interaction that you've had from your friends, your family previously. And so you go through life with certain people or certain situations where if they don't look at like this, or if it doesn't feel this way, or if it doesn't interact inside this type of capacity, then it's not the thing that you want to, or that's something that you're not craving. And so you either fall back from those people, you cut those people off, or you have tension with those people in a sense. And so I'm not saying that it's only one or two, but I can see in a lot of people's lives that it can either be one side or the other. And so that's what I kind of want to talk about. I want to be able to dive into that with you all. Hopefully we can have some honest and transparent conversations, because I feel like that's where we get the most clarity. That's where we get the most revelation, when we can be real with ourselves, be able to, lay out whatever skeletons we have inside our closet, and then be able to actually get some type of understanding. So going forward, we can know how to apply it inside our day-to-day lives. Everybody following me so far? I know that was, a lengthy little intro, but and for everybody that's coming in, it's all good. I'll fill y'all in. Y'all get it. We're talking about self-reflection. And so, hello, everybody that's coming in. What's up? What's up? What's up? Y'all ain't missed nothing. I was just giving the intro. So it's all good. And I hope y'all can resonate with it. And so I wanted to start off by asking the group, how do you feel about self-reflection? How do you feel about self-reflection in your own life? Whether that be how you perceive you self-reflecting with other people, or how do you feel like other people self-reflect with you? Like, what's your mindset when it comes to self-reflection? What's up, Trish?
I think the older I've gotten, I realized that self-reflection is extremely important, and I've taken it into more consideration, especially like I'm looking inward into myself and the things that I know I need to change or could change or want to change. And instead of blaming like things that people have done to me, I realized to just take accountability and do what, change what I need to change for myself, how I will react. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, you did this to me, that's why I'm going to do this back to you, or this is how I'm going to react to you. But instead I was like, you know what, Trisha, see what you need to change instead of trying to change the other person or the situation. So I think after I've gone through like trauma, I don't know if I spoke on it before, it gave me a lot of self-awareness, or just awareness in general, like around me. So I started to notice things that I have never used to notice before. I used to be on alert a lot, just because I think it's like the PTSD kind of symptoms of like always noticing everything from the outside and things like that. So I've learned, I think like I just went through a situation with a friend where instead of me feeling some type of way about what was being done, I just started, even though I acknowledge what was done, but I still looked at myself like, Trisha, you could just don't be bitter, or just I don't know how to explain it, but I just tried to see the good in the situation, I guess. I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. So you said that, for your self-reflection in certain situations, it started, or some of it started with you being exposed to trauma and being able to, learn from certain traumas and how you should move further. And, now you're in a state where you're looking at the self-reflection comes and you're looking more so as a positive aspect than just the negatives in order to move forward when it comes to situations.
You got it. I appreciate that. You said it better than I did. I'll be like,
no, you good. You good.
stumbling.
All right, Key and then Kwane.
First, Trish, that was like so like beautifully wrapped up in a bow. But we were actually talking about this on Sunday. You're welcome. We actually were talking about this on Sunday. Me and the ladies, and we were just asking ourselves, who am I, what have I done, and where am I going? So it's interesting you brought up self-reflection. I feel like, just as Trish said, it allows you to hold yourself accountable, and it allows you to kind of gain some self-awareness. But the idea of self-reflection isn't fun, because that means you actually have to face yourself and kind of tap back into some things you probably have shoved all the way down and suppressed. And sometimes the things that come out are like hard pills to swallow. So yeah.
So why do you think it's such a hard pill to swallow?
Because no one likes the idea of being wrong, especially about yourself. And I was talking to Talia about this. It's like, we think we know who we are. However, as you continue on in life and have these kind of moments of self-reflection, you realize that you really don't have it down. And the hard pill to swallow is just understanding that you're not perfect. Although everyone wants to be, none of us are. So yeah, I think that's the hard pill to swallow. And then knowing that once I had the moment of self-reflection and something is realized, I'm now responsible for changing my behavior and changing those things about myself. So yeah, I think that also contributes to the hard pill to swallow.
That's good. That's a really good point. Now you're responsible once you're aware. We're going to talk about that later on as well. Kwane.
Jay, real quick, I just came in. Are we on like one of the questions right now, or are we just talking at a high level on?
Oh, yeah, we're on one of the questions. So we've been talking about pretty much self-reflection. For everybody that came in, we are saying that, like, self-reflection is something that is super important. Being able to not only self-reflect about yourself, but then also how do you interact with other people. And then, and vice versa, how people do or don't self-reflect when it comes to you. And so that's what we've been talking about. And we pretty much been, asking the question, how do you see self-reflection inside your own life? So like, what are the things that you've experienced that involve self-reflection, or you feel like happened towards you with other people and their self-reflection when you've experienced them? And so, if that makes sense.
We're not speaking to like question 1 or question 2 from the anonymous or the form in the thing. Okay.
Not yet. No, that's gonna be later on. That's gonna be later on addressed. Yeah. So again, also, if you came in, I just put it inside the chat. There's a Google form that I want y'all to fill out, and then it's gonna make sense later on for one of the points. But I just want y'all to be able to do that. It's anonymous, and so you can be honest and transparent. Nobody knows. And so yeah. All right, Kwane, what's up? And then Terica.
So I was going to say self-reflection for me, like, it's a big part of my life now, but I think it came from like wanting to stop certain like cycles that I saw myself going in. So at some point I was like, okay, like, what are you doing that you keep getting yourself into these same like cycles and periods and stuff like that? And then like what Key was saying, how self like reflection is kind of hard because it makes you face certain truths about yourself. And I also think like when I was younger or whatever, however you want to say it, I didn't face my emotions a lot. Like I would be like, okay, I'm feeling some type of way, whatever, don't have time for it. But when you self-reflect, you have to like allow yourself to feel it, unpack it, and then like he was saying, you have to do something with it after that. And sometimes honestly, when it comes to self-reflection, like this week, honestly, I've been avoiding self-reflection because I know I don't want to change something. So I'll be like, no, I'm not dealing with that right now, because I know like in my mind, once I sit and think about it, I'm now accountable of changing it. And I just, sometimes you just don't want to do that. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. I think like some of the keys that you said were, when you feel those emotions, you do have to unpack them, and a lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to be accountable to actually change. A lot of us are comfortable being who we are or experiencing what we're experiencing, and we don't want to alter that routine or comfort that we're in. And so I think that's good. Terica.
I think for me, that has always been like self-reflection has always been like a big part of my life, mainly because I don't too much like venting to other people. So I self-reflect a lot. Like every day it's like okay, what could I have done differently? Or in certain situations, I'm always like self-reflecting. And to the point where in certain relationships, not even just friends like platonic, but just like relationships, it aggravates me when people have like no sense of self-reflection, like nothing is introspective to them. It's always other people's fault. And it's just like, girl, like you complain about your life being messed up because of everybody else, but you don't think about yourself. And so for me, when other people don't self-reflect, it pushes me away from them, because it's like, so you don't see where you could have done something different. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just because I'm always hard on myself, so I expect other people to be hard on themselves, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm. Oh, that's good. And I think that it's cool and interesting because I see like Fawn saying same and stuff. It's cool and interesting hearing everybody's perspective, because you see both sides of the self-reflection coin. You got certain people where they're like, I know I do certain things, but I don't want to self-reflect. And you got people that feel like, they're constantly having to self-reflect, and that tension when you feel like other people around you aren't. And so I think that that's something that all of us experience to a state where you're either one or the other. You're either self-reflecting heavy or feeling like you're self-reflecting heavy and the other person isn't, or you feel like, I know that I got stuff that I got to work on, but that's a lot to do and that's a lot to focus on and prioritize or whatever. And I don't want to really put myself out in that type of way because I don't necessarily want to be wrong. And not to say that's a bad thing, because like Keith said, a lot of us don't want to be wrong. Like, majority of us don't want to. I don't think that nobody is just like, man, I want to be wrong. All of us want to be right, and all of us feel like we're a level of maturity where what we're saying or what we're doing is the right thing or the way it should be. But a lot of times we're not taking into the account that, that might be right for me, but what's right for me might not be right for Kendrick. What's right for me might not be right for Desi or Ty or whoever the case may be. And so being understanding of that is super important. And yeah, did anybody else? Okay, let me see who put their hand up. Kwane, what's up?
So I also kind of went through this period where I thought I was self-reflecting, but I was really just like blaming myself for everything. I don't know if anybody else kind of have went through that. I'll be like, okay, I know what I did wrong in the situation. So everything was like always my fault and it wasn't really healthy. Um, yeah, I just wanted to put that up there because I feel like sometimes it could kind of get confusing. It's definitely a fine line.
Man, no, that's super important. Go ahead, Patricia.
I don't know who was talking before the last girl, but I agree so much with her because I remember at one point I was resenting like my sister and my mother for like not having that awareness and self-reflection that I had, like when things were like not so great. And I felt like I was always the person to like forgive even when I knew I wasn't wrong, if that makes sense, because I wanted to be everybody to be, at peace with one another and this and that. I was like, God, why is that they don't apologize first, why they don't understand like what's going on, they don't notice what's going on. Why do I always have to be the bigger person in every situation? Because I'm self-reflecting on the situation and trying to make peace, and no one else is trying to do that. So then I started to like feel some type of way about that, why I feel like I always got to be the one to do that and to be the one to worry about how everyone is feeling, because I didn't want nobody else to like feel some type of way. Because every time like I'm in conflict with anybody, it's like I'm never like in a good like place, in a happy place, even when it's not my fault. It's like I always feel this like heaviness on me when everything is like scattered. And when it's, then I'm forced, because I want to make myself feel at peace as well, I'm forced to be like, all right, guys, I'm sorry that happened and this and that, even though I know you're wrong and I want you to see that you're wrong so that you could do better next time. So I feel her, because it is hard.
No, I feel that. And I think that that's something, especially when you're either not a conflict person or you like a seek the peace type of person. It's easy for you to just kind of fall back and be like, you got it. But then that does leave a level of resentment because like Kwame was saying, you can also get to a point where you fall back so much where you start either blaming yourself and actually believing it, or if you're blaming yourself or falling back or whatever the case may be, it leads to a level of resentment because you're not communicating what you actually feel, the emotions that you actually have.
OMG, yes, that part right there. Like I literally, my sister was like, you was holding so much in. I was like, because I felt like every time I was to say something, somebody's gonna be upset, and I did not want to happen. So I think I was holding on how I really felt about certain situations. I didn't want to speak up because of trying to be the peacemaker, or trying to be at peace with everybody, with them. That like I forgot to communicate how I feel because I was afraid of like the reaction. Like I think it was never like that, but it got to a point where like, because I was afraid of their reaction, or if I was to speak up and they're gonna get upset about me saying about how I feel, it almost feels like I'd rather not say nothing because I don't want that type of conflict. But that's so true. Like I literally went through that, and I literally had to talk. Like I was talking to my therapist about it, and then I had to have this hard conversation. I love my sister. We're like really close. But I had to tell her how I was feeling over the years about certain stuff that I didn't tell her about.
No, I feel you. And I think that that's something that a lot of people experience where it's like, I'm just going to eat it. I'm just going to eat it. I'm going to take it, whatever the case may be, because you know that you can or you're able to do that. But then it's also not fair to the other person because the other person doesn't know exactly how you feel. And so we want the other person to have a level of understanding just at the door, or have a level of like, intuition of how you feel, but that was never expressed to them. And so it's kind of like a blind side whenever you do get to that point where you do express, or you do also like blow up, that now it's like, whoa, where'd you come from? What are you doing? Like, why are you expressing this way? Or why is it coming? It might not even be that big of a deal, but because you've been bottling in so many different things, different experiences, you're easily triggered in that situation because of that. And so that's why I wanted to kind of talk about, I wanted to be able to talk about like, what are the roots of that, how we can look at it at the door and see for our own selves. I wanted to be more so about ourselves, because I think that it's easy for us to say, this is what other people do to us, but it's harder for us to say what we do in a situation, whether that is, taking in the people who don't self-reflect, or actually not self-reflecting ourselves, and then wondering why people are interacting with us a specific way. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Kendrick, what's up?
I think for me, like growing up, I didn't know what was self-reflection or how to self-reflect. Like growing up, I didn't have anybody, like I said before, I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I automatically like fell victim to like getting into like a lot of trouble. And even in my early years of getting into trouble, it's like I'm the one that's doing bad, but I'm blaming everything else of why I got caught, why this happened. or why, and like even just like I guess it could go down to like no one ever asked me like how was your day or how are you doing today? And I know that might seem like off topic, but I guess it's like I always blame like it was like a family curse to me. Like, no, my grandma didn't talk like this to my mama. My mama didn't talk like this to me. I don't know how to move with self-reflecting. So growing up, I even used to be like, oh well, my mom didn't do this, or my dad was this, that. Maybe this wouldn't have happened, or maybe this could have happened. So like I'm I'm 28 and I'm really just learning how to truly self-reflect, like on like, nah, this is my fault why this happened. This is my fault. Like I gotta get myself out of this and out of that, if all that made sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that that's real because I think a lot of times, um, depending on your environment and situation, you are exposed or not exposed to things. And I think that a lot of times what it comes down to is we get with people, we're interacting with people, and we expect for the people that we interacted with to have the same life experiences as us. And so because we're expecting them to, go through the things that we went through or whatever the case may be, that leads to a level of standard or expectation of, how you should think. Like, for instance, like when me and Day got together, they never went to Florida before. So it's like, being from Atlanta, like Florida is like going to Walmart. It's like, you've always, everybody's been to Florida before. But because she's never been to Florida, I had an expectation that like, man, like, you should have been to Florida. Like you ain't never been to Florida. And I went about it in a way where Florida was so like minuscule to me versus the experience of actually going to Florida, actually going to Disney World, actually going to Universal Studios. I already had that. So it's like I'm looking through a lens of this is something that is like she went to Myrtle Beach, I'm dead. This is something that is just, a standard that you should already have in your life versus, something that is a brand new experience that she is experiencing currently inside, her like 20s. So I had to remind myself again that we were two different people with two different experiences. I was fortunate to do certain things that she wasn't fortunate to do, and vice versa. And I think a lot of times when we are, again, interacting with people, we're expecting people to already have, had the same relationship statuses as us, been through heartbreak or been, with a partner before, been able to go to college, been able to, have a job before. And so we think that these experiences, these nuances that just was easy for us to attain in life, it should have been easy for other people to attain. And we get into that mindset where we're like, pick yourself up by your bootstrap because that's what it, you know what I'm saying? That's what is just necessary for us to do. And that's not reality. And we start judging people off of that. But before that, before we even start judging, I want us to get everything that everybody has said and realize at the end of the day, we are not perfect. So I think a lot of times we go through situations where we're hearing people, we're seeing people, we're experiencing people. We might think that we're right, this person is wrong, or whatever the case may be. And we have to realize that we are not perfect. We all are sinners. We all love ourselves, and we all have things to work on. This does not make us lesser of a person. It just makes us human. However, a lot of times we use this statement of like, I'm a human, I'm not perfect, to actually snowball into us being complacent. So this is not a conversation to say like, just because you're not perfect or you're human or whatever, that you stay the same. It is a thing that we all have something to work on, and we have to remind ourselves every single day that there's things that we can improve on. And that improvement starts with ourselves, because we're the only people that we can control. You can't control somebody else. I think that this is the other thing that is a lot of our problems in certain situations. We either have felt like somebody tried to control us, or we tried to control other people. We might dress it up with different terms and say, I just was wanting to help people, or I just wanted to be there for somebody, or I just wanted to inspire you. But in reality, what we do is we start putting ourselves in a space of being Jesus Christ, and we want to save people. In reality, we can't save anybody. We have like this expectation, a standard, a vision of what we want our lives to look like. And then we also start putting that expectation, that standard, and that vision on other people, on how we think their life should look like. And then we interact and engage with people in that type of way, when in reality, God never called us to change anybody. God never called us to fix anybody. And God never called us to move in a way where we were putting people on a timeline or a pace where we were saying they have to do this by this specific time or else. And we're giving ultimatums to people, when in reality, all God has called us to do is love people, respect people, be kind to people, and lead in that type of way. And when we don't do that, then we start getting this tension, because now you're starting to make people feel like it's me, or I'm the problem, or I'm the issue, when that's not the case. And this can either lead to people resenting you, this can lead to people feeling insecure, or this can lead to a lot of conflict and tension, because there is this image that somebody's trying to live up to, and it's not meant for them to live up to this expectation. And so when we do this, that's what happens. And it's like you're trying to fit a square into a triangle. You can't do it. It wasn't meant to be a triangle. It was meant to be a square. And when we're keep on constantly trying to mold and fit a square into a triangle, all that leads is the edges and the actual shape being disrupted and scratched. And you can't do that. And this is where I want to kind of like sit on real quick. And I want to ask y'all, like, you know, what are your experiences with that? Like, have you ever felt like somebody was pressuring you to change your image, or become something that you felt like you wasn't? Or have you ever been guilty of actually putting yourselves in a space where you were trying to fix somebody, or you was trying to work on somebody, you was trying to help somebody, but it turned out to be like you really was trying to fix them and mold them into the image that you had for them, and not the image of who they were? Feel free to talk on it. I know that was a lot. I didn't even see the chat. I learned that the hard way. How you learned that the hard way? Hey, you put it out there. How you learned the hard way?
Wow, so many things. I would say in my current relationship, that's something my partner and I struggled with, especially in the beginning, because I kept verbalizing like, I want you to have this like amazing relationship with God. And obviously, like, I was out of pocket saying that, because that's none of my business. And I like had to understand that. And then with me even verbalizing that, I was coming off as very arrogant, very like I knew everything. So because of that, that kind of spilled over into this other challenges that we've had. But yeah, I was the fixer. I am like, that's just something I've just been trying to work on, being the fixer and understanding that that position or that perspective will never lead to the results that I'm desiring. And the change that I do desire, the change that I seek after, is only going to happen by the power of God, not me, because I can't do any of that stuff. So there's that part. And then what was the other part? Somebody trying to fix you?
Yeah. Have you ever felt like somebody else was trying to fix you or mold you into the image? And it don't even have to be just relationships. It can be anybody.
I would say I experienced that in the workspace. You know, being a Black woman, sometimes they like to pigeonhole you and like you're supposed to be just one certain way and go about maneuvering. I think also like being the youngest and being in like a workspace where there's like essentially veterans to the thing, they try to like pigeonhole you again. And I think sometimes friendships, like if your friends aren't willing to, or like open enough to like seeing you grow out of different stages of life, they can too also try to like keep you boxed into what they've like an older version of you, or the friend that they like have in their mind, like the Instagram thing. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants the cute thing and not like the real relationship.
Right.
So yeah.
I feel that. And I thank you, one, for being transparent and honest. Because I think that that's something that it's hard for us to do, or to even admit. But I think that it's very important for us to be able to reflect on those things, because we've seen it, we've experienced it, and you can see what happens when that does or doesn't work out, and like, the aftermath of it, and having to clean up afterwards. It's a lot more mess to clean up when we do that versus actually, being understanding of this at the door and stuff. And so, but that's what life is. Life is about us falling, slipping, and, trying to find some type of clarity so we can move forward later on. Patricia, I don't know if your hand was already up, or is it just been up?
It's been up. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't know.
You good. I got you. Go ahead, Kendrick, and then Chris.
I'm I'm at work also, so if it's too loud, let me know, 'cause I'm on
Hold on, my God.
porch.
I don't know if it might be the Wi-Fi or whatever, but it's like,
But I think I used to try to. You hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I think like I used to expect for like my wife to get on things that I was on. Like I used to always like, oh, why can't you get into the stock market? Or why can't you? Oh, I'm watching this church service and stuff like that. And I had to realize like she went through things as a child or just younger in her younger years that made her stray away from God. Like I can't just expect for her to just say, yeah, let's go to church, or yeah, let's watch this church service. And like even with like me getting into different things, like it's new to her also as just much as it's new to me. So I think I tried to mold her into something different, and I had to realize like, wait, you're not into these things, and wait, you did stray away from God, but why? And we had to have that deep talk of why. And I think same thing what Keith said, like in the workspace, like at one point I was like the youngest supervisor at my job, and I had like people older than me that had to answer to me, and the managers that was over me that was just kind of like trying to mold me into this certain type of supervisor that I'm like, that's not me. Let me run my shift the way I want to run my shift. And then I think I also put pressure on myself, wanting to be um mold myself into somebody that I wasn't. Not like a fake it till you make it, but like comparison is the killer of all joy. And I think I definitely used to compare myself a lot, like the age and the careers that I was choosing. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm trying to get to this point, I'm trying to get to that point. So I'm hoping I'm on track with that, with how I'm explaining it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, and again, that's a part of it as well, like being able to just have that understanding, especially in a relationship, like, and being able to say like, I understand that there's a level of trauma that's connected to this, or there's a level of experiences that are connected to this that has made you respond or react to certain things the way that you respond and react to. And I think a lot of times we kind of forget that, and we think that people are coming to us as a full package. And when we think that, then it's leading to, a lot of destruction, because it's hard for them to either communicate through that because they never had to, or they have communicated through it and we kind of we forget about it because we have never experienced it ourselves. So it's hard to even relate to what you're experiencing, because I've never been there. I never felt the way that you felt, and I don't know how to even speak towards that. And so I think that's good that you were able to connect with your wife in that type of way, and grow in that capacity of understanding and reflection. Chris, and then Trisha.
I definitely have, I probably tried to mold people into my own image, but I've definitely, like, I kind of am experiencing it somewhat now in the workspace, because it's like I do work hard at my job. My bosses recognize that, and there have been times where it's like she's trying to mold me into, like, even possibly becoming a co-manager, which is that's the second highest position in the store. I'm not trying to stay there that long, and I have communicated that before. I communicated that when I first got the job, but she's kind of in some ways tried to seemingly kind of mold me and kind of groom me towards that position at some point.
Yeah, and I think that the workspace is harder, to navigate because it's not like a individual or a friend or relationship where you can have honest conversation and they be receptive to it and just change. And sometimes you just have to endure and take certain things that, you don't necessarily feel are fair or aren't fair. And, just have to deal with it because that's your job and you don't want to lose your job. So I think that is, it's harder to really navigate, but then also being able to give grace and understanding that, these are human beings at a time. If I do get a chance to communicate my feelings and express, I'm not going to hold back and I'm going to be honest, and allowing myself to express that, but also understanding that, like, how the Bible said, everything that I'm doing work-wise is do it as if you're doing it for the Lord, and so whether that be something that is, you know, as feeling degrading as like cleaning toilets or like being custodian or actually being in a grocery store or in corporate America, not necessarily allowing the job to pigeonhole me, but allowing what I'm doing to be a personification of working towards what God has called me to do and stuff. And again, that's harder, that's easier to say than do when you're dealing with human beings and you're not just working by yourself. But when we can kind of remind ourselves about that and give the grace and forgiveness to it, then it can kind of at least alleviate certain situations a little bit more. And so, Patricia.
And no, I just wanted to let Kendrick know that I knew exactly how he feels and that I could relate so much to him because I sorry y'all. I had that situation with my husband where I felt like we came from two like different backgrounds. Like, I grew up going to church and things like that. And he did, but not really. That makes sense. And once we got together, it's like I was trying to mold him into being like this godly man, right? Not that he wasn't, or he didn't believe in God or anything like that, but because I've learned so much more and I feel like I was spiritually more further than him in a way. It was like, I was like, okay, I was expecting him to be like always praying and like when he's home by himself or even with me that he would put a sermon on first. It was not happening. That you would rather watch some other stuff. And then like, I was like, why he's not interested in these type of stuff? Like I'm trying to like grow spiritually. And this man is rather watch like Wilding Out and, and some other stuff. And I'm like, God, like, are we not equally yoked? Like, what's going on? Like, I wanted somebody that I felt like was gonna lead me spiritually. And like I was feeling some type of way about that. And then I had to like learn that God met him to where he was at the moment. And I needed to do the same and just pray for him and allow God to do what he needed to do on his life instead of me trying to like force it onto him, if that makes sense. And I felt like I was doing that at one point. But I realized that when I started praying for him and stuff like that, and we started to go to church, I started to see him like raising his hand and praising and doing stuff. And I'm like, I've never seen him do that. He's praying, he's having his little moments with God. And I was like, God, I see you. Like, thank you. I mean, of course, like we have our moments where I feel like, can you put some sermon on instead of this type of stuff? But I'm seeing the progress. So I'm just trying to be thankful for the little things that I am seeing improvement on. So I feel you, Kendrick. Like I was trying to force this man to do certain stuff.
Kendrick, you had something you was about to say.
Nah, yeah, I was just adding to it. Like we both are on the like complete same page because that's how it was for me. Like, and I think it's just like I've like recently made a change, and it's maybe happening so quick that maybe our partners, but for instance, my wife may can't see right now because it might just be like they're so used to us being a certain way, if that makes sense. Like I think it's just like I'm moving so fast with changing. Like I'm a new Kendrick, and she's probably so used. I mean, we high school sweethearts, so she's so used to the wild and the Kendrick and stuff. And then now it's this Kendrick, and it's like maybe she's, I don't want to say not catching up to it, but just not used to it in a way. But it's the same way. Like I'll put on church service, and she'll be on TikTok, and I'm like, hey, cut that TikTok off, man. It's pointless. Or like, or like if I'm studying the stock market, she on TikTok. I'm like, bro, you're not learning nothing off of that. But then I can't judge her because I was that guy before too. Like I wasted a lot of time on YouTube and TikTok watching nothing.
That's 100. Go ahead, Key. Let's speak afterwards.
Yeah, I think with both of those things, and even like with personal self-reflection, I think it just requires a lot of like patience towards yourself, towards the other person, and then also understanding that part of how there's no judgment. Like even when something's revealed to yourself, you can't get hard on yourself. And like even when, I don't know, you're having these interactions like with your partner and stuff, it's understanding that there's an amount of grace and like non-judgment that has to kind of come forth during those times. So I appreciate both of you guys' stories. That's really cool. I'm glad to see like the progress, and glad y'all are experiencing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, definitely. And I think that what you said, Kendrick, is super important, as well as the fact that you're not going to be the same person that you was a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever the timeline is. Like we change and we evolve all the time. And so, people, that's why you see a lot of friendships fall off, because people become friends with you in a specific season of your life. And then as you're going through life and you're changing, you're altering, people have to decide or choose whether or not they're going to continue to be friends with you in this different season of your life. Some people do change, some people don't change, and some people change at different timelines and speeds. And so being able to understand that and be okay with that, especially when it comes to your loved ones, one, is hard, because it's not an easy thing, especially when you feel like you're on an accelerated, path, and you just want people to experience what you're experiencing, especially when it comes to like the faith world or whatever. Like you want people to get it just like how you got it, or you want people to be eager and learn in the capacity that you learn. But like you also said, it's not up to you to set their pace. Like everybody has a specific pace that God laid out, and it's God's timing, not your timing. And I think that that's something that we also, as we're talking about the control aspect, we can't control time. We can't alter it. All we can do is be patient, like he said, and walk with people in their journey. Even if you do feel like you're in a space where they should be, or whatever the case may be, that's what love is. It says that in 1 Corinthians 13, like, love is patient, love is kind. It doesn't keep record of right or wrong. And being able to use this as a checklist when we're leading in love is super important, because if we don't, then it'll get us to a space where now we're getting resentment, or we're having resentment for people because we're having an expectation that is not fair. Like God didn't tell you to have that expectation. All you can do when you come to these spaces of being, a believer and trying to walk with your partner in that type of capacity is throw seeds on the ground and hope for, fertile ground to be like achieved over time. Like in the parable, like in Matthew 13, like Jesus was talking about, throwing seeds on the ground, and, some of those seeds went into fertile soil, some of them seeds fell on rocky soil. But eventually, as you continue to throw those seeds, if it's meant to be in God's willing, it's going to go down into the soil, but it's not meant for you to push it down into the soil. That's God's job, for him to plant it. All you can do is just drop them and hope for the best, and they'll recognize that over time. Yes, I saw Let me see. I saw a hand up. Is that Jave?
Yeah, my hand was up for a little bit. I just had a quick question.
What's up?
What is a sermon?
A sermon?
Yeah, is a sermon a sermon? I don't know.
Oh,
Please call the sermon.
yeah. So like the sermon is just like is a message, you know, it's just like, you know, when they be preaching or whatever, like, you know, the message that they give is the sermon. And so like that's like the title or like the biblical word for like being like something that was preached. So like the message preached.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Patricia? I think. Yep.
No, yeah, I think that hand was from the last
Oh,
time.
I
It
got
didn't go away.
I got you. I got you. I got you. All right, yeah. So good conversation, guys. And so I ain't even get into the first point yet, but like this has been great conversation. That's all the intro. But I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm gonna kind of skip over certain things. So again, like we said, that level of control we're trying to have. Let me put Jave. That level of control that we're trying to have leads to us not being aware of how we're coming off. And so when we're not aware of how we're coming off, this is quick for us to get into a space of judging people. And so that's actually number one. Point number one is stop judging people. I think a lot of times we get into spaces where we're like, oh man, this person should be this way. This person should do this. This person should be here in their walk. This person should be moving this way. My relationship should be like this. My friendship should be like this. My relationship with my parents should be like this. The stranger that I see on TV or on the internet or on social media should act or maneuver in this type of way. And we start judging people. If you go to Matthew 7:1, we will tackle that together. Matthew 7:1. I'll give everybody time to turn to that. When you're there, can you put your thumb up so I know? Matthew 7:1. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, Kendrick. We're gonna talk about that. Matthew 7:1. All right, we got thumbs. All right, bet. So this scripture reads, I'm not there. I'm sorry, I closed out. It says, do not, actually, I'm gonna have somebody read it. Can somebody volunteer to read for me, please? That I haven't heard from. So that's a Ty, a Desi, a Fonz. Anybody like open to reading? Ty, all right, bet. Can you read that for us? Matthew 7, verse 1 through 6.
All right. So this is the New International Version. So it says, do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces.
Man, I think that this is something that I want everybody to just like not commit to memory, but just kind of remember and reflect on this heavy, like the aspect of not judging other people, not judging other people for anything in that type of capacity. I'm gonna get into that, Kendrick, as far as judging and standards, but because it says, you know, when we judge people, the level that we judge people at is the level that, and thank you, Ty, for reading. The level that we judge people is the level that God judges us. And so it's kind of going back to that whole treat people the way you want to be treated aspect of it. Like if God was to judge you the way that you judge other people, whether that be your friends, whether that be complete strangers, or, you know, and if he was to talk to you or interact with you the same way that you do with other people, would you be comfortable with that? Would you be cool that if he talked about you the way that you talked about him, would you be cool with that? If your parents talked about you the way that you talk about people or judge people, would you be cool with that? If your best friend or your partner talked about you the way that you talk about other people, would you be cool with that? And if we kind of, you know, take that, like, if we had that conversation and then, like, you know, put it in the lens of God, like, we all are sinners. And when we get to a space of saying, man, like, yeah, like, this person has done this and that, but I also have done things my own, the way that we respond and reflect and look at people is completely different, because by the grace of God, by the grace of God, being a believer means that you're not going to hell, you know, you're not going to be damned to hell. But what if, like, this was the Old Testament where, you know, if you sinned and you didn't sacrifice, you getting banished, you know, like, how would that feel? That's a level of realism that we don't necessarily get to experience, because we don't see it on a day-to-day basis, and we don't experience that on a day-to-day basis. But it's just a reminder that we're not perfect. And I think that verse 3 is one of my favorite verses in the Bible, because it's like, you know, why would you worry about the speck? Some translations say, like, why would you worry about the splinter in somebody else's eye, but you worrying about, like, why are you worrying about the splinter in somebody else's eye, but you aren't worried about the log or like the plank of wood that's inside your eye? And, you know, that's just meaning, like, you know, there's so many things that we can reflect on and actually meditate on and fix about our own selves. However, we're looking at the small things or the things that other people are doing and pointing towards our fingers towards them as saying what they aren't doing and what they could be doing better. Now, that's not the same level of, that's not the same situation of not holding people accountable, because there is a conversation. There's a difference between judging people and holding people accountable. Judging people is getting to a space where you're, you know, not leading in love, you're actually just leading in criticism. And so being able to, you know, critique people and criticize people in a way where it's not no level of relationship that's connected to this. This is no, I want to see you be better and I'm trying to help you through it. It's more so about acknowledging what you did wrong, not giving a solution to it, and then leaving people on the island to feel like, you know, they're the scum of the earth because of what they did or how you've, you know, how they affected you. That's what judgment is, versus the accountability is leading in love, being understanding that, you know, you care for this person or you love this person enough to hold them accountable, tell them what they did wrong, but then also offer your service of being there for them and helping them through it, so they can so they won't stay in the space that they're in, but they can actually grow and improve in a situation that has happened. A lot of us, we don't do that. We love to tell people what they did wrong and then, you know, chastise somebody, but we don't offer the relational aspect of it, of connecting to this person and saying, you know, if I can be of service, not to say that everybody's going to use your service or actually you're accessible enough to help somebody, but the willingness on your heart to help somebody and transition out of the space that they're in, or fix or correct the things with your help and your assistance. Now, going to Kendrick's point, as far as not meeting your standard is part of judgment, I want to talk about that. And it's about to choose, it's about you choosing what you fix your focus on. Exactly. Are you fixing your focus on the issue? Are you fixing your focus on the posture of somebody else's heart? What are you fixing your focus on? Like, what is the thing that you're hyper focusing on? Is it something that is going to be beneficial, or is it something that's going to keep somebody in the same space that they're in? And, you know, we don't have a problem keeping people in the same spaces that we're in, because we don't exercise the whole love your neighbor like you love yourself aspect of it. We just, you know, treat people that are strangers like strangers, or we treat the people that are our loved ones like, you supposed to have this together, you supposed to have your life together before you interact and engage me. But I want to ask the group that question that Kendrick asked before we kind of dive into that. Is a person not meeting your standards a part of judgment? And Kendrick, you could speak on it if you want to real quick.
Yeah, so I almost think it is. And I'm sorry if I'm off topic a little bit because I'm at work, so I'm
You
gonna
good?
listen to the replay also.
You good?
I mean, come on now, let's be honest. If a dude, he 30 years old, he has no car, a minimum wage job, and he coming at a female, I mean, 9 times out of 10, girl, no, he's broke. He work at such and such. I mean, but they might have their standards to like, they don't want a 30-year-old dude with no car and this type of job. But then when he come at, so that's what I just want to get like that also part of that question, like how could you separate that from judgment, but if that's your standard. So that's also what I wanted to add to it.
That's good. Did anybody want to kind of talk on that or speak on that specifically as far as, you know, what's the cross between like having standards, but then also not judging somebody for who they are or where they are in their season of the life that they're in? Anybody want to touch on that? Go ahead, Ty.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, I think it depends on the situation. I would say, generally speaking, it is judging someone. You know, if you know that the type of people you want to be around, you're kind of exiling others. But if it's a situation where someone is doing things that you know aren't godlike, you know aren't, or it's keeping you away from your purpose and your relationship with God, is it really bad to have the standards of, you know, wanting people around you who want to get closer to God? I don't know if that's necessarily judging, because it's not like you're not trying to be around them or associated, but I know that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with you because you aren't focused on the same things that I'm focused on.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit. You said something very important. Anybody else want to speak on that? Like their thoughts on judging people versus having a standard for yourself in situations, especially relational. Did anybody want to touch on that?
Jay, I know where you going. Oh snap.
What's up, bro? My God, what's happening, dog? You know. Go ahead, Kwane.
My bad. I was just gonna say, I guess it just, like they were saying in the chat, it comes from where, like, what your intentions are, like, you know, where you're focusing on. Because I think the main thing that a lot of people think, going back to what Kendrick was saying, like his specific example, we would see somebody that like don't have no money, but you trying to talk to me, like, I think it's a deeper issue behind that. So like you could be focused on the fact that they don't have money, so they can't support you, or like judging them from that way, or you could be looking at them as like they're not focused, they're not driven. But I still don't know if that makes it any better. Like, I don't know if that's still like judging, or is that still a standard? I think it is a difference, but what that line is, I don't know.
Okay, go ahead, Keith.
I feel like part of it is you allowing a person to show you who they are without you, like, you can still have standards, right? I think standards is like knowing your boundaries, like your self boundaries, and where you cross that into the judgment zone is when you're not giving a person the opportunity to show you who they are, to see if they measure up to the said standards that you have within yourself. It's different when you're pushing that narrative onto people for whatever you want or need. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of where my mind is going with that, in terms of like, and I'm speaking specifically on like friendships and like a romantic relationship.
Right. Okay. Terica?
I think in life we have to judge. It's not necessarily like a bad judge. It's kind of like when white people say like, oh, I don't see color. And it's like, how don't you see me? And so when you're looking at somebody, you're literally just looking at who that person is. Like, it's not necessarily saying ill, but you're seeing that person. And we talked about this Sunday, just about like being your authentic self, and also other people allowing, like, you allowing other people to just be their authentic self. So it's kind of like, I see you. So it's not, I would be lying if I said that, you 30 years old and have certain qualities about yourself or whatever, and you're trying to date me, but you don't have other things in your life going on good for yourself. So like, I don't feel like it's a negative thing. It's like, I see you, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I got you. I got you. All right. So the way I see it, I think that to Terica's point, the acknowledgement, I think that, if we acknowledge versus like judging, like I can say like, I can see somebody and I can acknowledge where somebody else is in life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's who they are as a person solely off of where they are in life. You know what I'm saying? We don't know the circumstances of people. We don't know, what they've been through, why they're doing that, whatever the case may be. And so that's not to say that you just date anybody that, pushes up on you, because we don't know, where their heart might lie. Like, that's not saying that. I think that you can still have the standard for yourself to say, hey, I'm not going to date somebody until I actually know the person. I'm not going to date somebody because I have a level of standard as far as what I do and don't like or do or don't have a preference for. But I think that when we're talking about judging is more in a negative base where you're, in a sense, condemning somebody for being who they are. So it's not just the acknowledgement of saying like, oh man, you're 30 years old, you're working at McDonald's and whatever. Like, yeah, that's acknowledgement because you see that. But I think when we get to a place where we're like, ew, you're 30 years old and you're at McDonald's, like, why don't you got a job? Like that's where the heart posture changes, and it's different, because it's no longer about just seeing you and just saying like, oh, okay, like, I wish the best for you, or I hope, all is, cool. It's more now centered to why are you here, or like, why aren't you further, and you're giving somebody else a timeline of what they should or shouldn't be doing. And so I think that, like Keith said, you do know your boundaries, like what's your boundaries. And I don't think that that's wrong that that you have boundaries and you're setting those boundaries in play. But when we get to places where we're not even giving people the ability to be human, we're not even thinking that people has the capacity of changing or growing or whatever, and we're typecasting people, then that's where the judgment can come in, where it can be a negative thing versus just being able to have standards. I think even like how Ty said, as a believer, we are meant to have standards. The Bible tells us to have a specific standard of how we operate in life, who we, come in contact with. And Jesus and the Bible should be our standard of, okay, does this person check off this box? And when we're in the vetting process of, talking to people, being friends with people, seeing our relationships, whether that be romantic or platonic, we're looking at the checklist that God, specifically said, to say, hey, like, this is the standard that I'm living by. But we're not necessarily taking it in like, you have to be this tall to ride this ride, or you have to be da da da. Like, I think that that's a man-made standard that we start putting out into the world. That's not to say that we can't have that, but that's when it can kind of be challenged a little bit more than the standard that God is saying, as far as, does this person love their neighbor like they love yourself? Does this person believe in God? Does this person, exercise patience? Does this person exercise forgiveness? All of these aspects are the things that we're kind of looking at when we're talking about engaging with people, or the things that we should be. And everybody that's been in relationships before can see, when you haven't exercised that, how that relationship was impacted or affected versus when you were more intentional with looking at it through that lens. There's just a difference, and that standard has to be the standard that we're following versus our own specific standard. Because if we follow our own specific standard, it's easy to fall, because those are more fabricated standards that God didn't necessarily call people to have. Like, there was nothing that God said that, like, a person that you date has to have a 6-figure job. Like, the person that you date has to look like this or act like this. He never said that, but he did give fundamental standards of the heart that we have to look at at the door, you know, when we're engaging with people. What's up?
I just had a thought too, like we are so quick to judge. Like, I don't know, when you were talking, what came to my mind is that like instead of just like using one scenario and saying like that's the end all be all, like it's different if this person is consistently, I don't know, talking out the side of their neck or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, what's the pattern that shows like, okay, this is like continual behavior instead of like, dang, this person rubbed me the wrong way. Nope, done. And
Right.
now for the rest of the time, I'm only going to see you in that light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it makes it that much harder for like someone to get out of that position that they're in within your heart, so that you can now see them like as the, you know, better, more mature version of themselves.
Right.
So yeah, that just came to my mind when you were talking.
No, that's 100% right. We have to give people the space and the ability to grow. You know, I think that we kind of typecast and we label people and we say like, oh, it walk like a duck, talk like a duck is duck. And sometimes that is true. However, that doesn't say that people are gonna be the person that they are your entire life, whether that be your romantic friendships, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, dad, whatever, your brother, sister. People still have the ability to change and grow, and we have to be able to understand that, like, you're not God. So God is the only person that has the capacity to judge. And if, you know, God and Jesus wasn't judging us, who are we to judge when they could judge us every single day for the things that we think, for the way that we talk, the actions that we've done? Um, and that's where this form has come in, where I was going to bring up, where, you know, when I asked y'all, you know yourself the best, be real. What is a sin you struggle with the most? You have, you know, I struggle the most with lust, particularly in the form of masturbation, struggle with sex. I struggle with idols, putting things in time before God, worry and anxiety, not being able to put my full trust in God, judgment, lust, temptation, arrogance, pride, hatred, um, cheating, you know. So these are us, you know, these are us. It's not, and this is anonymous, and it's not to say that, like, you know, you don't know who is experiencing what, but we're all experiencing something. I have 12 responses. So, you know, it's looked like pretty much everybody said something. So everybody has something that they're dealing with. It says, what is something you've done in your life you feel that others would judge you for? I've had many moments when I've mistreated my family. I struggled with my sexuality and masturbation to unorthodox contents, which plays in a strange fetish that I have that involves either sometimes both genders. I struggled with my sexuality. I struggled with being productive, being happy for others without comparing, infidelity, judging others, being close to certain people at times, cussing, listening to secular music, purity. Um, I've nearly killed somebody before. You know, like, these are things that if we was just wearing that on our forehead and we knew this on a day-to-day basis, and you wasn't just in a Bible study setting, this could be something that you will look like, who is this person? Like, you know, like, I'm judging them. If this was your girlfriend's like boyfriend, or this was your best friend's girlfriend, you know, and you're looking at it in this type of lens and they were doing these things, we might be super quick to judge. And we have to understand that we all are experiencing something. We're all going through something. And just because it's you doesn't mean that your sin is smaller than somebody else's sin. Because at the end of the door, at the end of the day, God laid it out that every sin is equal in his book. So whether you are a murderer or whether you're telling a lie, he's looking at it in the same sense of this is the same type of sin. But we are the ones that put it on these different pedestals of what is or isn't right. And we can't do that. And we have to be, again, understanding that you have room to grow just like somebody else has room to grow. And it's not up to you to, it's not up to you to judge people, but it's number two, understanding that what leading with love looks like. And we talked about this earlier, but 1 Corinthians 13, 1-7, if you all was to go to that, 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 7. I'll read it for y'all. It says, I'm reading through the NLT. I'll go to NIV. It says, if I speak in tongues of men, so if I speak like men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. So it's saying, if I speak really well like men, or if I'm speaking like angels, but I'm doing it with no love, I just sound like noise. If I have the gift of prophecy and I can fathom all the mysteries and knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but I'm not doing it in love, I am nothing, because this is worthless. If I give all my possessions to the poor, give over my body to hardships that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. And so it's like everything at the root, what God is trying to say through that, through Paul, is, love is the root. Love is patient, love is kind, it is not envy, it is not boast, it is not proud, it is not dishonor, it is not self-seeking. Underline, underline, underline. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of right and wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. And when we can get to a place where this is our standard, this is our checklist that we're looking through on how we engage with people. Are you patient with the people in your life? Are you kind? Do you not envy? Do you not boast? Are you not self-seeking and looking how somebody can benefit you and you're becoming transactional? Are you not easily angered? Do you keep record of right and wrong? Like, we all have experienced these things, and that's not what leading with love looks like when we're self-reflecting and coming back to the door of being the person that is actually trying to progress not only myself, but the entire unit that I'm talking to, whether that be friends, whether that be romantic, platonic, whatever the case may be. So before expecting other things from other people, we have to change and lead by example ourselves. And we have to do that through exercising this. And I'll put the last point that I had for us so we can go ahead. But the last point that I have is, as we're self-reflecting and we're having these conversations of self-reflection, the main thing that we have to do, and we have to make this a culture of, bye Patricia, we love you. Glad that you was able to come on, man. It's been real. Can't wait to see you again.
Bye guys. Good night.
Good night. But as we're making this, as we're doing this and we're talking about this, we have to make a constant culture of seeking feedback to improve. And I think this is something that we all kind of struggle with because, like he said earlier, we don't want to hear when we're wrong. And we don't want to also admit sometimes that we are wrong or we're coming off specific ways. But in Proverbs 19, y'all should have read this today if y'all on the Bible plan. Proverbs 19:20, it reads, listen to the advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. And so being able to listen and have the advice of other people that you can trust, that you respect, that you understand, that you interact with them enough where they know you and they can tell you what you need to hear, and actually be receptive of it and accept the disciplines, accept the leadership or the learning ability of this, will make you more wise and it'll make you more aware. And I think that this whole talk on self-reflection is what this comes down to, just being able to be a little bit more aware of how I'm engaging with somebody, how I come off to some people, while also being aware of myself and understanding what I do to people in my silence. Not being able to, not talking or not expressing myself is also a form of a lack of self-reflection, because if we constantly do this, then we put people behind the 8 ball and expect for them to move and operate the way that we want them to, but we're not doing it. And so feedback is not an attack, but a tool of self-reflection for growth and understanding. Anybody have anything that they want to speak? How do y'all feel even about feedback? And this will be the last thing before we get into the prayer requests and prayer supports. Like, do you think that that is possible and doable, or do you think that this is easier said than done?
You mean like receiving feedback?
Yeah.
Um,
Or
I
even
would definitely.
others with other people too, both ways.
It's easier said than done. Again, I know for me personally, it depends on who I'm receiving it from. Like if it's somebody that's like not in close proximity, I'm like, okay, cool. But then for some reason, when it's people that's the closest to me, I'm like, are you attacking me right now? What is going on? Um, so yeah, I feel like yeah, it's easier said than done because you don't want to hear you're not doing great. Well, maybe it's me. I don't want to hear that I'm not doing great. So yeah.
That's real. That's real. Anybody else? Anybody that haven't expressed yet? Desi, Fines, Day, like anybody.
Um, I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. I'm just reflected on everything that
Speak.
you're saying. Like, I don't know. I think I'm just like really. I don't know. Everything that you're saying is just really. I, I'm just taking it all in what everybody's saying. But can you like say the question again with feedback?
Just with feedback, do you think that it's like, more easier said than done as far as receiving feedback and giving it out? Or do you feel like that's a doable thing?
So I'm a person. I love feedback. I love for people to be like. I think friendship and relationships. I love for people to be completely honest with me. Like I don't care if it hurt my feelings. I don't care because I feel like I don't have a lot of genuine, straight up people. I feel like a lot of people sugarcoat or beat around the bush. A lot of my friends do say that I'm pretty blunt, but I don't know. I just like just genuine people because like I need to know when I'm doing wrong. I need to know if I'm doing good. Like I just need to be told, and I don't really take hints well. So if you're hinting something to me, I'm like, I'm not gonna get it unless you're straight up. However, I do say from being a blunt person, I will say that's not received well to everybody because everyone's not like me. I know there's some people that are emotional. There are some people that get like, get angry, get upset, and just take it as you're being mean or why'd you say that like that. So I've learned in the past few years to just fill people out and know like, okay, this friend I can be straight up with, this friend I might have to like ease it in or, just so you have to kind of learn people. And with me being in HR, I definitely can't be as blunt. I definitely have to give politically correct answers. So I guess overall, like I don't think giving well, at least for me, I don't think giving feedback is that easy because so many people are so different. Like you just don't know. So you have to be very cautious.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
No, I feel that. I think that that is true. I think that, again, I think the problem with the whole feedback aspect, whether that is somebody that you do or don't know, if you do know them, you know how they've responded to things before. And so a lot of times, more than anything, it's not necessarily that people don't want to give feedback, but it's more so I don't want to experience what I experienced the last time that I've given feedback. I'm speaking at least for me. That's me. Like I know, like, okay, I said something to somebody because I can be a blunt person as well. And I say something and it was received a specific way. And I wasn't prepared for how it was received. And so because of that, then it made me not want to express that or share that in that same type of form. And I had to try to figure out how to either take it or, express it in a different way. But that's me. But then also when it comes to people that you don't know, we don't know people. Like I know y'all, but I see y'all on Thursday. So it's like I don't really know a lot of y'all outside of Thursday like that. So it's like, to give feedback to y'all, I'm gonna be a lot more on eggshells with it because again, like you said, I'm blunt. So I can say something to anybody on here, hurt y'all feelings, and y'all never come back ever again. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be the vessel that helped you like disconnect from a community or a relationship with God. So it's like when you're interacting, especially with people, I think that, again, as we're talking about the whole like awareness of it, even just being aware of the person that you're talking to, and then being able to see like, what people can and can't take, and then what is needed to be said, or what's needed to be like, saved in the drafts. Like that's something that I've been learning, the more and more as I've had to interact with people, what I'm saying, in this type of light at least. But I feel that. Anybody else? We have Miss Tabitha Barnett, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, it's our first lady.
Hey, Miss Tab.
Yeah, man.
Oh, hey, Jay. I was like, who is that? You got your hair different. Yeah. I don't look like Talia anymore. Hopefully. Just well, she last her hair. No blonde, so. Huh? I said no blonde hair, so. Oh, well. I was hoping that would differentiate the two of us, but really not. Well, it's great seeing you. I said, y'all are still going. All right.
Yeah, we about to wrap it up now.
I was gonna say, could you repeat the question one more time?
How's it with you like dealing with feedback? Like, is feedback more easier said than done, or is it something that is receptive for you?
I didn't want to answer. I just wanted you to repeat the question. Thanks.
Go ahead. You're already on the mic. Go ahead, Kendrick.
I think for me, I love feedback. It's half and half because I love feedback, but I'm emotional. I don't know much about the birthday sign, but they say Pisces are emotional, and I'm emotional because I'm an artist and I'm working on like a clothing line and I do other stuff. So of course I love feedback, and I take it and I don't get mad, but sometimes it'd be like, dang, is that true? So it's like half and half. It's like sometimes I get kind of upset about it, but I don't like show it. I just take it and like, all right, let me just see what I take it into consideration, I guess.
Feel that. Okay. Go ahead. I don't know who was first between Terica and Javed. How am I? And correct me if I'm saying your name wrong too. I don't want to miss.
Ladies first, but it's Javed.
Javed. Okay. Go ahead.
I can say with certain things, I like feedback, and that's my problem. Like, I like feedback if I ask you for feedback, but if I don't ask you, then it irritates me, and I think that's a problem. So I think, yeah, that's me. Because it's like, don't tell me something that I already know. Because most times when people give feedback, it's like, it's stuff that I already thought of. And then they try to make it seem like it's something new. And then it's just like, girl or boy, like, I already knew that. So, but I think that's just more of me thinking that I know everything, and I just need to really let that go and stop being so offended so fast. And I think that's a part of my journey of forgiveness as well, just the things that are able to offend me very quickly. And when people tell me what to do or people give me unasked for feedback, it's like I'm irritated.
I feel that. Don't give it to me if I ain't ask you for it. I'll ask you if I need to, but sometimes people be feeling like you won't ask them. So, it'd be on their spirit. So they have to share right then and there. All right, Javed, go ahead. And then yeah. I think Kendrick already experienced.
Yeah, I agree with you. Whenever they just like say something and it's just like, bro, did I ask you? Because I remember playing my instrument, right? And he was like, I think that note was wrong. I'm like, bro, it's not about the notes. Let me just understand how the tempo goes and everything. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm trying to say is I love feedback. I always ask my brother for feedback all the time because I make music and I'm like, bro, how you think this look? Or how you think this sound? Or should I add this? Should I take out this? And then I still make clothes or whatever. And I'm like, bro, you think this design might look good on this? Or like, how should I have it on this? And I love feedback, but it's mainly from a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother is one of them people. But the thing is, he don't like giving feedback.
Mm.
Like I like it when it's from him, but he just don't like giving it. So I don't really know, because I don't really got too many friends to talk to. Like, hey, yo, how you think this look? How you feel about this? Because I don't really mess with these people like that. But yeah, I most definitely love feedback. Most definitely when it's from the fam.
I got you. Do you think that have you asked him why he doesn't like giving you feedback?
That boy lazy. That boy lazy. That's it. He just be like, bro, I don't feel like it. And then he finally hear the song. He like, okay. And I'm like, you so annoying. I swear to God, bro.
I feel that. I feel that. All right. Anybody else?
I just wanted to piggyback off of Terry because that is definitely me. If I ask for feedback, I love it, but I don't like people telling me stuff that I already know, because it's like because now I feel like he's trying to be funny or something. Like I don't know. I just kind of get offended after that. Like I already knew what was wrong, but when I need help, I will ask for it. But when it's unsolicited advice, that's just something I got to work on, because that might just be God trying to tell me again, like, okay, well, you need to, if you know it, then do it, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
I feel that. I feel that. Sometimes he do be wanting to beat over your head and want you to say it out loud. I think a lot of times we can hear feedback or we can internalize it and be like, yeah, I know what I got to work on. But sometimes he wants you to speak it out loud or like, express it. So he really knows that you are aware of it and actually working on it. I know that's something that I'm trying to work on. Like, I'm a real, I got it type of person, but at least, being able to express out loud and say like, hey, like, this is something that I'm working on. And so I'm trying to be transparent and do that. I think that that's where like, growth can also come as well. I'm not saying that nobody doesn't do that, but I think that that's what, can kind of help people at least know that you're aware of the things that they want you to be aware of. But if all hearts and minds are clear, we can go ahead and put a pin in it. Again, hopefully somebody can get something from that and they connected with it. Do we got any prayer requests, praise reports? I want to hear one from everyone, please. Go ahead, Chris.
All right, so I have a praise report. I applied to another college to not well, actually I applied last week. And I just got earlier today I talked with an admissions counselor about how much money they were willing to offer, scholarships and financial aid included. And they're actually willing to offer the majority of the cost, actually, because it's a little over $30,000 that's the tuition per year. They're offering nearly $22,000.
Wow.
And so there's other ways I'm looking at trying to get there are other ways I'm trying to look at trying to get some money. And even if not, I think I can pay, if I took in some of the loans, I could probably pay out of pocket a little bit. So
that's great, man. Man, congrats. We've been rooting for you this entire ride with your college journey and your higher education, like learning journey. So that's great news, bro. For real. Definitely praying for that as well, as far as like, the excess money that you have to pay as well too. Okay. Anybody else? Who's next? Go. Kendrick, what's up?
Praise report and prayer request. Just praying to continue a safe praise report first. Just of me just being excited, man. I'm hearing my babies move more now. So that's like exciting, because since I'm the type, I'm going to be a good father. So that's exciting for me. And prayer request just to continue a safe and smooth pregnancy and be able to keep them healthy, and just to keep me also on this journey that I'm on of just breaking this generational curse in my bloodline, my family, and just changing just changing how my last name has been for so many years to come. Just being somebody different for my family.
That's good, man. Got you, bro. Okay. Curve. All right. Anybody? Who's next? I'll call on you if need be. Terica, praise support, prayer request.
That's so crazy because I just took my phone off of mute. So I have I guess a praise report. I don't know, but it's just something that was good. So next year is my 10-year high school class reunion. And so we're planning that. So I'm just really excited and just really just flowing on air just about that. And then also today, I just kind of realized like it was a little post on Instagram about how many friends that have you had for 8+ years. And I have quite a lot of friends that I've had for more than 8 years, and just like excited to just be surrounded by just a village of people who really love me, care for me, even though we don't talk every day, every month. Just I know that they're a village, and whenever I need them, they show up, and whenever they need me, I show up. So I just been on a high today, just thinking about that and them. And prayer requests. I am working on getting a new driver so that way I'm not waking up extra early and stuff to go to like the warehouse before I go to work, because that's like very draining. And so, yeah, the person who I'm looking to hire has like a poor driver's record, and commercial insurance is high. So just pray for my pockets. Yeah.
Got you. Praying for your pockets. Okay. And congrats on such a great day. That's awesome. Being able to experience all that as far as, having that community. Like a lot of people like pray for that. And so that's a blessing in itself that you're able to have so many people around you for so long. That's dope. Okay. Fonz.
So I guess I'll have a prayer request. So been losing a lot of sleep lately over just like overthinking different situations and having like a lot of negative thoughts lately. So just prayer request that those things stop and that I can just remain level headed.
Got you, man. Okay. Ty.
Okay, so I have a prayer request. Right now I'm currently looking for an apartment. I have been for quite a while now. So just prayers that hopefully I can find something very soon. My living situation right now it's not horrible, but I definitely am just ready to have my own space. And yeah, hopefully that'll come soon.
Okay. Got you. Yeah, they said send you her budget. She got you. If need be. Okay. Desi.
Um, I was trying to think of what I wanted to say. I don't know. As far as my praise report, mm, uh, I'll say, I think Kylie had a really good birthday party. It went well. It didn't rain. The kids said they had fun, so that was good. A prayer request. Um, I don't know. I feel like the only prayer request I have is just I feel like I'm not walking in God's will or purpose for my life. So I just feel like that's what I need to be doing. So that's it. That's all I can think of.
Okay. That's enough. That's good. Okay. That's good to hear that Kylie had a great birthday party. That's exciting. And I'm, you know, happy that you were able to, put that on for her. All right. Okay. Kwane.
So, I guess praise report. My clients at my job today had fun. It was a really stressful situation for us, but they had fun. So I guess thank God for that. Prayer requests. Um, just for me to stay focused in my calling and just stay focused on what God has for me, not get distracted, and kind of just remain disciplined. Yeah, that's the word. Remain disciplined.
Okay. Got you. All right. Have. Jave.
Can you repeat that? What you say?
So at the end we do prayer requests and praise reports. So if you got anything that went really good this week, you can talk on, or if you have anything you want us to pray over, you can do that.
Oh, not. I guess I don't know. Shoot, I got a test coming up, but it's more so just me studying. I just make sure I got to study and not procrastinate.
Okay. Got you. No procrastination. Day.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, as soon as I start talking. I went into the office for the first time this week. I don't know if that's really requires a praise report, but it was cool. So I guess prayers that as I continue to go integrate back into the office, that I just have a good experience. I'm the only unfortunately the only Black person or person of color in the Atlanta office. And so obviously that comes with its own experiences and everything. So I guess prayer request there. I've been trying to be on my gut health kick thing. So I've been running or walking and trying to eat relatively healthy. So I guess prayers. I'm sorry if y'all can hear this in the background. The game is on and it's being ridiculous. But prayers that I stay consistent with that, and then I hopefully start to see some results in the coming weeks there. I want to say that's it. I guess just prayers that I can be better or have stronger skill set when it comes to balancing my work and life. So just work-life balance, because I struggle with being able to set time aside for life during the week. So that, and then also I'm broke. My tire popped this weekend, and I had to tow my car 35 miles. Then I had to deal with having a Ford and a bunch of stuff. So I'm struggling. So prayers that God just somehow just drops some money into my bank account. And that's it.
Okay. Key.
Bye, Kendrick. See you later.
Hi, bro.
Have a good week. Prayer request. Let's start out with the praise report. My best friend just signed her contract. She's becoming a social studies teacher, and I am so excited for her. I just love seeing I don't know, the process of people becoming in my life is just cool. So yeah, praying for that and also celebrating that. Prayer requests. A lot of people around me are just not okay right now. Like dealing with panic attacks, depression, suicidal thoughts, and it's just really heavy. So I just want to pray for my friends and everybody that's close to me and everyone in general that's kind of having a tough time right now. Training is on Monday. So for this job at Peace, and yeah, this is out of my norm working with kids. Not really, but like it's something new. So just prayers for this week and hopefully that goes well. Yeah. And just, prayers that I'm just good support and just being an active listener when it comes to like dealing with people around me who are like going through and stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
Jay, what's your prayer request? I'm gonna pray us out.
Yeah,
Desi, you have something? I'm sorry, Jay.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. So I don't know this girl personally, but I do follow her on social media. She does live here in Atlanta, but her boyfriend died, and I do. She made a post this morning, like on her story, just saying, "Pray for me." Like somebody passed away, but later I found out it was her boyfriend, and I didn't know of him. And so she basically she was just I think she witnessed it happen or whatever may have happened. She's not taking it pretty well, and so she's been asking people to pray for her like all day. And so I wanted y'all to pray for her. I'll drop her Instagram like in the chat. But just like, I don't know, like I think her name is Mia, but anyways, I'll drop her name in the chat. But her boyfriend that passed away, he was around our age, but his name is Carlton. So yeah, but that's it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So, yeah, so you can just pray for her.
My only prayer request is for discipline, being able to walk in the will that God has for me, um, restoration in relationships, and balance, being able to kind of just balance life in a more productive way.
All right. Definitely gonna pray over that. All right, y'all.
Hold on, Keith. Got one more thing.
One more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I just thought about this. I wanted to challenge y'all. I really got this from Jay, but so I wanted to challenge y'all also before we go out. I feel like God has been telling me when Jay did it. So lately I've been anytime like I pray for somebody, like you know how like we in a social media trend where people say I'm gonna pray for you, and then they just throw the praying emoji hands up and that's it. I just wanted to challenge all of y'all, like when you feel led to pray for somebody, even if it's on social media or whatever, you don't know them, just to text them like a voice memo so they can hear you. I feel like I've been doing that lately since Jay did it for me one time. And I think it's like powerful, like it's touching more people, like to actually like, I don't know, just send a voice memo praying instead of, just throwing the prayer emoji. Or even if you are a person that does pray to yourself, I think just, I would challenge all of y'all to like, just either call the person or send a voice memo, just like, so they can hear your voice. But yeah, that's it.
That's real.
Yeah, for sure. Love doing that. Yeah, thank you for that, Desi. Um, if everyone could take a moment to just be still, take a deep breath, um, focus your attention on actually like having a moment to conversate with God. Um, all right. So, Lord, we just come to you first, thanking you for today. It's truly a gift to see another day, to have breath in our bodies, to have the ability to move and do things on our own, to just be blessed with the life that we have. Even though it may not be all of what we want, we still have everything we need. So we thank you for that. Before we ask you for anything, we just thank you for being just a good and great God. We thank you for being a father, a friend, a confidant, a comforter, all of what we stand in need of. Right now, Lord, we're just going to take this time to just bring some things to you, knowing that when we place it in your hands, we don't even need to pick it back up or worry about it any longer because we know that you are in control and that you are working all things out for our good, and that in your perfect timing, your will be done. So, Lord, we want to just thank you for allowing Chris to hear back from these colleges. We thank you for leading him in the direction and path that you set before him. Lord, we're thanking you for the scholarships that are being provided. But Lord, we're asking that you would just do what you do and exceed even that. We're praying that you will provide any necessary scholarships or grants so that he can pursue higher education and continue on in living out the purpose that you have for him. Lord, we're praying for Kendrick. Lord, we just thank you for placing the desire in his heart to want to be a better man, not only for himself, but for those who he's leading, who he is influencing. Lord, we're thanking you for changing the trajectory of his family line and beginning a new thing through him. Lord, I ask that as he goes through this process, that you would allow him to be diligent, allow him to be committed and disciplined, and being open to the changes that you want to do in his heart, in his mind, and in everything else concerning him. Lord, we're praying for Terica. We're thanking you for 10 years of coming out of high school. That in itself is a blessing. We thank you so much for the support and tribe that she has around us, or around her rather. Lord, I pray that each person in this group and each person connected will feel that same feeling of having friends and a support system that can really hold you up when you need it. Lord, we're praying for that you will present the new driver that she needs, someone who is consistent, who is punctual, who is focused, pays attention to detail, and who works well with the system she has in place. We're praying that you would just open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing in her finances so that she does not have to worry about paying for things. Lord, you are an abundant God. You don't want your children out here begging for the lesser things. So I ask that you would just give her a mind of abundance and allow her to know that, she serves a God that will really do the big things that are beyond what she can think. We're praying for funds, Lord. We're asking that you would lift the heaviness off of his mind. I ask that you would take captive those negative thoughts, and we bind all of the things within him that are tormenting him. And I ask that you would renew his mind. I ask that the mind that is in Christ Jesus would be the mind that is within him. Lord, I ask that you would give him peace. I pray, Lord, that you would allow his thoughts to align with who you are in your will. I pray that you would allow his mind to dwell on things that are righteous, that are praiseworthy, that are honorable and true. Lord, I pray that the thoughts that he has towards himself will be that the things that you see within him. Lord, we come against any depression. We come against any anxiety, any worry, and anything that may be triggering his stress. And I ask, Lord, that you would just allow his mind and his entire spirit to be at ease. Lord, I ask that you would allow him to find balance within his work and personal life, and allow him to find the time to really pour into himself. And I ask that as he's pouring out to his kids, that you would just continue to pour back into him. Lord, I pray that for him and everyone else in this group, that you would allow each person to find the therapist, the counselor, or the person that they can confide in, and be able to kind of like express themselves and, I guess, release these things off of their mind. Lord, we're praying for Ty. You know the desire she has to be in a new apartment, but I ask that you would, as she's waiting for the opportunity to present itself, that you will prepare her for what it's like to live on her own, to take on this responsibility. And I ask that you would just allow her not to be discouraged, but I ask that you would reignite her hope. I pray that you would just put inside of her heart and her mind dreams of the apartment and all of the things that she wants inside of it, because I know that you could do it for her, as you have done it for so many people in this group. So we're praying that she would not only get the perfect apartment, but you would allow all of the necessary finances for the bills and all the things to be covered as well. Lord, although Desi did not express fully of what's going on, we're just asking that you would just lift whatever heaviness she's feeling mentally and emotionally off of her. Ask that you will rejuvenate her from the inside out. Lord, I pray that you will remind her of how proud you are of her and how much she inspires those who are just merely observing her. Lord, I pray that you will allow your purpose to be revealed in her life. Lord, it's so evident how you have her hand, how your hand is on her life. So I pray that as she is being the best mother she can be, the best friend she can be, the best co-worker she can be, that you would allow her not to be discouraged or weary in well-doing, because in due season, she will reap if she does not faint. So Lord, we're asking that you would just lift her up. Lord, I pray that you would just allow her business. I pray that you'll give her fresh and new ideas. I pray that the clients that are about to be placed on her path, that she would just know how to properly execute these new projects and things. Lord, we thank you for being a God who just forgives us and loves all over our sin and guilt and mistakes. Lord, you say once we ask for forgiveness, you forget it. So I ask that you would allow us to do the same and not carry the things of our past into our present and drag it into our future. We're praying for her friend Mia. Lord, it's unfortunate that she's lost, she's experiencing the loss of Carlton. I pray that you will just comfort her right now, Lord. I ask that you would just saturate her with your peace and your love. I pray that you would just surround her and her family and his family right now, Lord. And I ask that you would just be with them during this time of bereavement. We're praying for Kwame. Lord, you know the assignment you already had designed for her. So I pray that you would just align her with that, allow her to be accepting of what you want to do through her. I pray that you would just allow her to die to herself and die to her plans, like we all need to do sometimes, and allow her to focus on her calling and the plans that you have for her. Pray that you allow her to be disciplined and committed to the process of becoming, and that becoming the woman you called her to be, the business owner, all of the things, Lord. We're praying for Jave. Even the smallest thing as taking a test matters to you. So I ask that you would just give him all of what he needs to prepare for this exam. We pray against that procrastination. I ask that by your Holy Spirit, you would bring to his remembrance the things that he is studying. And Lord, if he does well, if he does bad, I pray that you'll allow him to be reminded that no exam in this world can define who he is and his capabilities as a human being. We're praying over Jay as she's transitioning back into the office. Ask that you would just cover her from the top of her head to the soles of her feet, protect her peace at this workplace, keep her attitude and emotions all in check. Let no man or woman or Caucasian try her, because Lord knows something about it, Jesus. It's really just something about it, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, we're just praying that she just has a peaceful time at work. We're praying that nothing will just disturb her, and that you would allow her to just be used as your vessel and allow your light to shine through her. We're praying over her health journey. We're asking that you will allow her to find that sweet spot of work-life balance. We're praying that you would just allow her to just find new hobbies and things that really nurture her inner self. We're praying over Jay. Man, wow. Jay is really like, wow, you know this. We all love Jay, Jesus. But Jay goes through a lot of stuff. So we're just lifting him all the way up, because it's just a lot sometimes. To whom much is given, so much is required. So Lord, we're just praying that you would just give him supernatural energy, strength, and peace. Lord, I ask that you would allow him to be disciplined. We're praying over all of his relationships, that they will be restored. We're praying over everyone else's relationships, that they be restored. And Lord, we're asking that you would allow him to find balance. We're praying for his family, for him and Jay, for his siblings, and everyone else connected to Jay. Yeah, Lord. We're praying for my friends. We're celebrating all of the successes that they're going through. However, we're just lifting everyone up that is going through an emotional struggle right now. We're coming against every anxiety, depression, suicidal thought, all of the things. And we're asking that you, Lord, would just allow your presence to dwell where everyone inhabits. Yeah, Lord, even the things that people have not spoken about, the struggles that we shared on our Google form, I ask that you would just be gracious enough to walk with us through these things and show us how we can become better. Allow us to be disciplined, to make better decisions, and not think about the present, but think about our future selves and the eternal journey that we're on. Okay, Lord, anything that we did that was raggedy, please forgive us, because we know better. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. That was long.